Let's clear up protein and anti-aging today. So the problem I have with all the people that are out there claiming that protein creates longevity, while it is absolutely necessary to build cellular repair and strong muscles and is a part of anti-aging, there's too many people out there that are putting too much emphasis on the protein. So the amount of protein that you consume is crucial. And there's some other factors when you're consuming animal proteins that you have to be aware of in order to live optimally and be optimally healthy. So when it comes to the dosage of protein that you want to be consuming, number one is you want to eat the amount of protein that your body has in lean mass, not your total weight. So if you're 200 pounds, you're not eating 200 pounds of protein. Depending on how much muscle mass you have, that might be 160, it might be 190. You have to depends on how lean you are. So that's the number one thing that you have to pay attention to. Now, what you have to understand about protein is that it contains methionine, it contains cysteine, it contains tryptophan that increase epinephrine levels. So increasing epinephrine, there's a cascade of events that happen. It increases epinephrine, it increases cortisol, it increases histamine being leaky gut and autoimmune. Serotonin is neurodegenerative in high amounts, so it creates anxiety. It leads to ALS, Parkinson's, and MS when it's elevated for long periods of time, which downregulates your T3 production, raises estrogen, prolactin, and lactate, and then the body converts into a process of fermentation using hydrogen to make fuel, and we call that cancer. So does protein cause cancer? If you drive mTOR without enough autophagy, is it possible? Yes, because of the high epinephrine levels that your body never gets a break from. But we're going to change the way you view protein so that you don't have that happen to you and have high cortisol levels all the time. And so autophagy, you always hear about people wanting to fast to induce autophagy, but you don't have to fast to induce autophagy. Fructose induces autophagy, exercise induces autophagy. And when you fast, it's a stressful state, and this is where it comes with protein and not enough carbohydrates. When you consume protein, lacking glucose and fructose, what happens is your body functions best on glucose, not ketones. So you don't want to do ketone or a keto diet. You don't want to do carnivore diet, right? Those are short-term solutions that increase cortisol and mobilize triglycerides to be burned as fat, so you'll lose fat, until eventually it downregulates your metabolism because it's a stressful state, and the methionine, cysteine, and tryptophan that are contained in them. Now what you've got is your body increasing cortisol to break down muscle tissue, increasing glucagon to get the glucose it needs for your brain to function, for your body to function. But if you have carbohydrates in your diet, they're basically protein sparing. So carbohydrates are essential. There is essential carbohydrates that are needed in your diet. So you need to have glucose. And table sugar is okay, just you can't overdo it. So now we want glucose in our diet because what that's going to do is it lowers cortisol. Right? Now we're sparing the protein that we're consuming, and we're going to use it for the building and repair that we need of our cellular tissue. If we have excessive amounts of protein, sometimes we end up with protein misfolding. And we get protein misfolding, that is due to increased prostaglandins. And those increased prostaglandins decrease immune function. And now you're going to end up with weird neurological things happening. It could be high glutamate. Glutamate leads to ALS, Parkinson's, MS. It could lead to excessive inflammation, bloating, swelling, edema, right? So where I want to go to with that is when it comes to carbohydrates, the minimum amount your body needs is 100 grams. You should be able to function with about 100 grams of carbohydrates. It doesn't have to be excessive. That should spare that protein that's there. And you're only eating a gram of protein for every pound of lean mass. So another factor that we have to pay attention to when it comes to eating eating protein is we want to look at organ meat. We want to include organ meat in our diet because it contains vitamin A. And organ meat is a key factor in regulating our hemoglobin. And not only does it contain vitamin A, but also has essential minerals that we need for our antioxidants. And it doesn't have the methionine, cysteine, and tryptophan that makes up some of that protein. So along with the consumption of organ meat, heart, liver, and kidneys, to help regulate the immune system, you're going to want to consume collagen. And why do you want collagen? Because collagen contains proline and glycine, and that lowers epinephrine response from the methionine, cysteine, and tryptophan that's in your protein. So now you don't get that disruption of that cycle of high cortisol, high histamine, high serotonin, high estrogen, high prolactin, high lactate, low T3, and poor sex hormone production. Because that's what your keto diets do over time when you are constantly eating high protein, not enough carbohydrate. It's going to downregulate your metabolism. It's a safety mechanism so that you don't impair glycolysis. Your glucose has to convert to pyruvate. High protein without enough carbohydrates, without enough collagen, without enough organ meat will lead down that process. And I know there's a lot of world-renowned, well-known doctors and influencers that will speak otherwise. But I would also venture to say that they don't understand methylation completely. They also probably don't understand the full concept of every aspect of protein metabolism. And they're only looking at mTOR stimulation and maybe some small factors to do with longevity, but there's so much more that goes into it. And so they're probably looking at epidemiological studies, and they're observational based. And when we take a 300,000 bird's eye view at things, we can look and see that there's more to the whole picture than just saying protein is a superfood, because it is. But there's other factors that need to be included with that. And do not believe the hype that you need more protein as you get older, because that's not true. You need the same amount of protein. The issue is, as you get older, you generally produce less hydrochloric acid in the stomach, but you can overcome this because of calcium. And calcium with UVA light, I'm in Florida, I'm going to be down here a lot more now, near the Fort Lauderdale area, because I'm getting my sunlight. And in Chicago, we don't get the right spectrums of light in the wintertime. It can't really be outside. So it's conducive to your health to be in an equatorial area. So we need UVA light and we need calcium to activate the ATPase enzyme so that it spins. And as that spins, you activate the parietal cells in your stomach to make hydrochloric acid. And now you digest the protein that you're eating. So you don't need more protein as you get older. The demand that your body needs is still based upon your lean mass. And as well as while you drink that raw milk and get your oysters and get those minerals, that calcium is also needed to lower the phosphorus levels from the protein that you're consuming. Protein is high in phosphorus, so you need to offset that, and calcium does that. Calcium is also going to offset those oxalates that you're consuming if you're eating a lot of the foods that contain phytates. Oxalic acid is made in your body, but the thing of it is oxalic acid that's found in those vegetables and kale and spinach that everybody likes to demonize. If you have the calcium, it's going to break down those oxalates. You're not going to build them up in the system. You're going to make more CO2 because your ATPase enzyme is working. And so CO2 breaks down fiber and elastin, breaks down the plaque in the arteries. It causes good myosin-actin cross-bridging. It regulates heart rate. It regulates the immune system. CO2 tells us how well you can take in oxygen and convert it to carbon dioxide. And we need to consume the right amount of minerals found in your organ meats and your oysters and eat the proteins to make our antioxidants to combat the oxidative stress. So there's many factors we have to pay attention to when it comes to protein. And I would always venture to say that when you take a macronutrient and put emphasis on it, you're missing the bigger picture. And it's never, ever, ever going to be cut and dry like that. And you need a wide gamut of macronutrients and micronutrients to truly achieve the electron flow through the mitochondria and the electron transport chain, so you can take your oxygen convert to carbon dioxide and live a healthy life. Because the key to having longevity and optimal health is the cortisol DHA ratio, which is regulated by aerobic respiration and how well you can take in oxygen and convert it to carbon dioxide. Protein is a piece of that. Sugar is a piece of that. So your carbohydrates and your fats. There's certain fats you want to eat. But protein, stick to ruminant animals. Animals that have 4 stomachs. They eat seasoned grains of confirmed stearic acid. So you don't have the polyunsaturated fatty acids in your diet, because even omega-3s that you're told are healthy, they're not so great. They oxidize, they lack hydrogen bonds. So protein, you want to make sure you're eating ruminant animals. You want to make sure that you're eating your collagen. You want to make sure you're eating your organ meat. You want to make sure you're consuming carbohydrates. And as you get healthier, you'll be able to consume more carbohydrates to spare more protein, and you will be healthy. So don't listen to influencers that try to push excessive amounts of protein, or coaches that try to give you excessive amounts of protein, thinking that's going to solve your problem, because you just might be driving the exact disease that you're trying to solve. You got to be careful who's packing your parachute and make sure they understand how the cell works.